Hi, guys. Welcome back to Graphic Novels. We're going to talk today about the anatomy of a graphic novel, how to read them, what they look like, and kind of just the parts of them, what make them up. So, if you look at this example of a comic, we can see up here that there's a caption. These little lines would be where a caption would go. Then we see speech balloons. Okay, where so it says bletch. There's seeds on this bun. The gutter is this kind of like open space between the two different ones. If we look, we can see a panel right here. The frame is kind of the same as like a frame for a picture, so it goes all the way around. And then the font, just like when you're using Word and you get to pick the font, it's how the type looks. So we can see the caption, my kid with food, ugh, there's seeds on this bun. My kid with everything else. Oh my God, do you have rocks in your mouth? So it's, we can see all of those things with it. We're going to get a little bit more into that. So that's kind of the anatomy, what makes up that. So we're going to talk about how to read a graphic novel, and you should be able to define and identify key terms. So a graphic novel is sometimes referred to as a comic book, but a graphic novel is a sequential comic style narration in book form. So we've talked in the past about comic books and kind of how they're different than graphic novels. And a big way that they're different is that usually comic books have many, many series, and they kind of continue on, whereas a graphic novel is usually one narrative book form. It's a medium, not a genre. So many different genres exist within the graphic novel realm. Graphic novels can be analyzed for both their text and their images. Remember, we really talked about how um, you can really kind of put a memory to what you're reading because you're putting a picture with it. So, like any other text, graphic novels are read from left to right, top to bottom. So, you'll start left to right, read across, then go back down to the left, and then read left to right, and go back down to the left and read to the right. So, it's kind of this like squiggle if you look at how it's being broken down. So, there's a lot of elements that go into it. We just talked about some of them. There's panels, tiers, frames, gutters, dialogue balloons, thought balloons, captions, and sound effects. So if you remember, I was talking, I think like a couple of classes ago about the old Batman show from the 60s. And like when there was a fight going on or a loud noise, like boom would come across the screen, like the word boom. And it would be like in a thought balloon, or it would say like pow as like somebody was hitting someone. So because they can't make those noises because you're reading, they're getting those sound effects across in a different way. So panels are squares or rectangles that contain a single scene. So there will be numerous panels. Notice that some panels are larger than the others. The authors do this in order to highlight or emphasize certain parts or scenes in the story. So the bigger ones are going to be the most important. That's what they're emphasizing. That's what they're trying to get across. A tier is a single row of panels. So there's a tier 1, a tier 2, a tier 3, going down in order. So remember, like you'll read them left to right, then go back down, left to right, then go back down, left to right. So frames, like I said, is just like a picture frame. A frame lines and borders certain panel. Some panels may not have a frame around them. These are called borderless panels or open panels. Gutter is the space between the panels. So I showed you this in that first comic in the beginning. So this open white space is the space between panels. Then this is probably what you're most familiar with is the dialogue balloons. So these are when conversations are happening between characters. Dialogue balloons should be read left to right or top to bottom as appropriate. So you'll see how they're going in order. Sometimes it can get a little more complicated depending how many characters you have, what's being talked about, and how many people have something to say in the particular comic or novel. The basic left to right rule still applies to these panels though. So you'll go left to right here and then down. Thought balloons are a little bit different. Thought balloons contain the thoughts of a single character. So you'll see these like almost like three dots, and that's kind of like to bring you up. It's like a thought, and you see it almost looks like a cloud in this thought balloon. So that when you see these three little circles, that's gonna show that it's not his dialogue; it's what he's actually thinking. And then these are those things that I was saying, how to get those noises across. So it says ptow, buk. So it's kind of showing all those noises that are happening as he's deflecting things from his shield. So that's where we can kind of see sound effects, even though you're reading it. So there aren't any sounds. Now, captions are different as well. So captions contain information about a scene or a character. So they're not what their character's saying, it's just information that's important to this particular story or the comic or the novel that you're reading. And then going back to the sound effects, they're visual sound cues. So whap, pow, boom, zip. So we see that here, thwack. So it's usually the word kind of sounds like what the noise the sound makes. So we look again, we can see sounds effect, thought balloon, caption, panel, gutter, dialogue balloon. Then here's some couple more cool things. We have transitions. Graphic novels transition from panel to panel and page to page in order to slow time, emphasize an action sequence, use juxtaposition for emphasis and meaning. Perspective, graphic novels utilize the same terms as film and photography, such as close up, medium shot, long shots, tilt up, tilt down, panning, and tracking. So the artist will really create them the same way that somebody would create like a movie or a show. So that's how those pictures will kind of be presented to you. So you are going to use this video and the attached PowerPoint to respond to your questions for today about how to read a graphic novel and to be able to define and identify those key terms. You'll be answering some questions and doing some matching. Have a great day.